Nate, there's so much about space that we just don't understand.
Very true. I do understand it likes to try and kill us quite a lot.
Okay, potentially. But the point is, we just don't know what's out there. It's hard to get to. There's billions and billions of planets and stars.
Black holes.
That too. And potentially, AI could help us understand it better.
All we need to do is put it on the back of a rocket or a cat and put some very smart people in charge of figuring this stuff out.
Okay, where do we start?
I might know a guy.
Artificial intelligence could alleviate a massive bottleneck in astrophysics, the speed of light. Here's the thing, if you sent a message to a spacecraft on the sun, assuming it hasn't melted, it'd take 8 minutes to get there. A reply would take another 8 minutes. Not a huge deal, right? Well, let's take the next nearest star to the Earth, Proxima Centauri, which also hosts the nearest known exoplanet to us. Your same exchange would have a round trip of more than 8 years. So even if we devise a way to send spacecraft to it, and that's a massive if, it'll be unmanned because humans don't live long enough to get there, and it'll need to make intelligent decisions on its own. Otherwise, a follow-up question for clarification would take another 8 years. As long as the speed of light is a fundamental limit to communication in space, we're going to need extraordinarily intelligent machines to make every decision on location for us, so the years-long wait for our first answers are comprehensive, indisputable, and final.
Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, it's a great pleasure to have you here, astrophysicist. Let me ask you straight up, when you think about AI and space, what do you think?
Well, as an astrophysicist, we've been active users of computers and everything it could deliver to our field from as early as computers could do anything, practically. I mean, military used them first. Physicists might have been in there a little sooner than us, but the way we view computing is, oh, it can make your job easier? You can calculate something that would otherwise take you 1,000 years and it does it in 10 seconds. You can address a problem that's otherwise unaddressable. So the role of computers in our lives as research scientists has always been, let the computer do it if it can. Of course, you have to program it to achieve this. So I've probably written 50,000 lines of code in my life, something like this. So as we approach this modern era where computers are doing way more than just a math calculation, I see it as, oh, it can do more now. Great, okay? And if it can compose an instruction manual for something and you don't want to do it, now that AI has made significant inroads to language, let it do it. I don't have a problem with that.
I'm sensing great optimism in your voice about AI and its role in...
Yeah, you don't get that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay, so in all fairness, there are people who would describe themselves as AI experts. Almost every such person I've met is terrified about the future of AI. So maybe you shouldn't listen to me. Maybe you should only listen to them.
Let's talk about this though. What's exciting you about the advancements that AI is making in the space industry, just that whole realm? I mean, this has been your life's work. What is exciting you right now?
AI, I think, means different things to different people. So for me, AI is the slow encroachment of computers to substitute brain work. It's to make your brain work easier. And is that really any different from when machines started taking over our labor? First, the domesticated animals replaced human labor, and then machines replaced, at least on farms and things. And so, yeah, whole sectors lost their jobs, but no one's looking back longing for those days. So society adjusted. And so what do we do in space? Space is vast in time, in distance, in the kinds of objects that are there. And in the old days, you'd take a telescope pointed to an object, and then you get your data and you take it home with you and analyze it.
On a floppy disk, I imagine.
Way before floppy disks. Okay.
Too advanced.
I'm an old fart at this table here. I predate even paper tape, okay? Yes, data used to be stored on paper tape with holes punched in it. Even before that. That was a short-lived, because it was not a good idea.
I'm imagining that's when you had the...
Oh, yeah, my day, yeah, I had mutton chops. They were in style back then, just to let you know. So now what we find is because the universe is so vast and it is populated by so many different kinds of objects. That
many of them depicted here.
Many of them are precisely depicted here. That at some point you say, I need to know more than what's going on with an object. I need to survey the universe. And when you do surveys, in the old days it was hundreds, then thousands, then millions. Now billions of objects are in your catalog. You cannot analyze a billion objects without having some kind of intelligence beyond yourself to go into the data and figure stuff out.
What part of the universe do you think, and that's a crazy question just as it's coming out of my mouth, what part of the universe do you think artificial intelligence has the most potential to really unlock? Is it the stars? Is it another galaxy? Is it extraterrestrial life, or is that going too far?
So what you want to do is you want to use AI's power to find things that are different, that you don't expect to be different. So here's an example. There are fuzzy objects in the sky. You can train the computer to look for a pattern in those objects among other objects that you know very well. So I take an object, it's a particular kind of galaxy, I study it, then I make a model of that galaxy. Now I have way crappier data for the rest of the universe because those galaxies are much farther away. They're dimmer, they're fuzzier, you can barely detect them. So you can create models of what you know and then have that serve as a template. And that template then is applied by the computer to every other object out there. And when it applies that template on the data, it can actually reveal structures, reveal form.
Smeary blob.
But it can reveal detail in the smeary blob, pulling it out of the noise that your eye-brain combination cannot. So basically these kinds of discoveries are, like AI has a seat at the table in this regard. I call it AI because it's doing things your brain was otherwise doing. The AI purists will say, well, there's a day where AI becomes our overlord, you know, and it might make us their pets. And actually, I don't fear that. Actually.
You don't?
No.
What do you fear?
Well, can I tell you why I don't fear it first?
Please.
Okay. So how do we treat our pets?
Extremely well.
Kings and queens.
Extremely well. Maybe AI as our overlords would treat us better than we treat ourselves.
There are clear ways in which humans cannot do things as quickly and as accurately as artificial intelligence can.
Correct.
What is the single biggest breakthrough that you can think of that artificial intelligence has yet to do, or maybe has already done, akin to the way that in medicine, protein folding prediction was made possible just a few months ago?
Yeah. So I guess in astrophysics, the value of computing was not so much how AI it was, but just simply how powerful it was. Every factor of 10 in computing power increased the kinds of questions we could ask that we didn't previously have an answer to. And I'll just give you an example. When two galaxies collide, which happens every now and then, we're going to collide with the Andromeda galaxy. We're on a collision course.
No.
It depends how you measure it, maybe in about 5 to 7 billion years. So I have that on my calendar.
We have time, Nate.
Yeah, but I did put it on my calendar. Watch for collision. But ask, how would you calculate that? Well, in every given moment, The 100 billion stars in one galaxy each has a gravitational field, as do the 100 billion stars in the other galaxy, all right? And they all feel each other's gravity and the gravity of all the others. Every next moment, it's slightly different for every single star. Every next moment, every next moment. So your computing power enables you to calculate that, first, with more stars, second, with a smaller time increment. And there were problems in my lifetime that were unreachable. And you'd listen to talks, and we have to make this approximation and this simplification, and we're getting this, maybe it's the essence of what's going on, but we don't actually know. And you apply high performance computing with ways to see things that you could not otherwise see or calculate or even imagine, and then features arise. Now, it's possible for something to show up that maybe isn't there. Maybe it's an artifact of your algorithm. You got to watch out for that. And so we check it in other ways. You get somebody else to program their version of this to see if you're converging on a similar answer. Then you gain confidence that the result you got is real.
What is your view on AI helping with space exploration?
Yeah, so if you send humans to explore, usually they want to eat and they want to come back home, and you have to keep them alive. That's just a lot of overhead.
They ask, are we there yet?
Yeah, I know. So you send a robot. And a robot, I don't mean like, a robot is any machine that does things you would otherwise do if you were there in its place. The Hubble telescope is a robot. The James Webb telescope is a robot. The rovers are robots, the rovers on Mars. By the way, there's a time delay between when you give a command to the rover and when you know whether the command has been successfully executed. Depending on where Mars is relative to Earth, it can take 20 minutes for the signal to get there and 20 minutes to come back. You'll be waiting there 45, you say, watch out for the cliff, and then 45 minutes later, it's too late.
It's like using my hotel Wi-Fi.
Watch out for the cliff.
Yeah.
Yes. So, all of our modern rovers have autonomous modes where they see a cliff, they see danger, they see, don't go there, go here, that's too, the slope is, so this is all built in. And I guess we can call that AI. No, it's not inventing new ways to play chess, because that's not its role, that's not its task. But it's making active decisions knowing we cannot be there for it. In active decisions in its interest of its own survival.
So is AI going to accelerate first contact, in your view?
Yeah, well, so, thanks for that question, bringing it back on target. So, the din of cosmic noise, how are you going to know if anything in that noise is someone trying to talk to us? You're going to need a way, a clever way, to not only constantly monitor the whole sky at any given moment, you want to monitor every possible bandwidth, every possible frequency of communication that would come through the galaxy. We have good reason to think aliens would talk to us via radio waves, because radio waves penetrate intense gas clouds. Here you have gas clouds shown. That's the colorful, beautiful things that preventing you from seeing what's behind it.
But what do we know, or how do we know that that particular wave is communication versus just...
We don't! So you'd have to presume that they would repeat something, okay? There are few things in the universe that repeat. We know what they are. The first time they were discovered, it was like, could this be aliens? LGM, little green men. The first pulsar was we didn't know what it was, but it was a pulse, all right? Repeating. So, first sign of aliens. Then you find it's a star that's rotating fast, it's got a magnetic field, and it's accelerating particles, and it's this sort of thing. But we discovered it. It was a signal. It was something that was different from everything else. So, AI is going to be what we program to monitor all those frequencies at all times in every direction on the sky. And that's a task no humans, you can't even crowdsource that with the billions of people, that you need a machine to do that. You need an AI that'll say, wait a minute, over here, there's a signal, oh, wait a minute, I'm detecting digits of pi in binary, or I'm detecting prime numbers, or as was displayed in the movie Contact, in the film Contact. Those are the aliens sending a sequence of prime numbers. That's not going to come from random. That is not random, okay? What was a little weird in the film was that the prime numbers were in base 10, which is highly human, because we have 10 digits, all right? Could have been base.
Our math teacher would be proud.
It could be base 7 or base 2 would probably be what it's in.
And I think what was so interesting about that is, just as an example,
Not base 16, which is important for computing either.
yeah. But there was data encoded with those transmissions as well, which was so fascinating, because it was essentially like, well, we can just decode that data. It's fine. It's binary. We'll just decode it, and okay, there's a schematic for a machine. Like there's sort of a gigantic leap of faith there. And actually, I wonder if there's some reality in that today, if that were to happen, you would need the kind of artificial intelligence and the supercomputing power that we have to even take that data and figure out what to do with it.
Right. So depending on the size and scale of your data, generally when we look at data, we take slices through it, because we can't picture, it's hard for us to picture four-dimensional information. So you take a slice this way, we get this, and you get a slice that way, across each of the dimensions, just because our feeble brains can't. Imagine AI that can just picture things in 3, 4, 5, 6 dimensions. When I say dimensions, I don't mean spatial dimensions, I mean data dimensions. All right, so I'm just saying, if you had AI that said, if there's anything beyond this, a pattern of any kind, find it. And AI will be good for just looking over the edge where we don't have the time, the energy, the ability, and our brain is just too feeble. And like I said, none of us are thinking AI is going to one day, walk out of the computer room and enslave us. It has always been a tool, and I don't see that changing.
Do you think AI is going to be more imaginative or creative than humans?
Great question. Dare I say, I don't think so.
Why is that?
Because AI, especially of the kind today that is people are most worried about, everything it knows and can deduce is based entirely on what's on the internet. So, we talk about creativity. What is it? What is creativity? In its best variant, shouldn't use that term. That's very COVID. In its best
Don't bring us back there, please.
In its best variety, creativity is, here's what everybody's doing. Now here's something that is a leap from that. Occasionally there's a pathway that you can track. Okay, where did Cubism come from? Well, there was something that came before that, and before that. Okay, you can track it. Impressionism, well, somebody, did this. Occasionally there's a leap that doesn't derive from any logical steps, doesn't come from some pre-existing condition. And the tangled brain wiring that exists within humans, personally, I think is responsible for that. Why are there some creative people that rise up above others? Because they did things nobody did before them. I don't see AI saying, I got a good idea that no one has thought of before, that I can't get to from this tracking. Let's do this. And by the way, whatever it is, we're going to have to like it. Okay? That's what our creativity is. We like it. All right? And so, could AI have created the music of Jimi Hendrix before Jimi Hendrix existed? I'm kind of thinking no.
Do you think AI could help in fixing essentially developing a unified theory of physics? Just a nice, easy little project.
It's easy to presume how the universe must be so that it satisfies you philosophically. Practically every effort in the past that started out that way has failed. It may be that the universe is not organizable into a single equation. That might be, I'm allowing for that possibility. Or, here's a deeper possibility. You ready? And maybe AI will help here, I don't know. You said earlier, let's look for intelligent life in the universe. You mean like us? Who said we're intelligent? We declared that we are intelligent. Would an alien make such an assumption? Would high enough AI make such an assumption upon analyzing the decisions we make about our own health and well-being? How do we measure intelligence? How big is an equation you can solve? Or whether you're making decisions in the interest of the survival of your own species? So I'm not even convinced that we are some models of what is intelligent in the universe. And if AI can exceed that, here, there's an inanity defense here. You ready? So, are we a simulation, for example? Maybe AI simulated us of some alien kid in his basement. We are that world created by that
He's
kid.
really gone rogue.
Well, we're living in a marble like in Men in Black.
Yeah, exactly. What is it? The galaxy on the belt of Orion.
Yeah.
That was.
On
Orion
the
was
cat.
a
On the
cat.
cat.
It was
Yeah.
a cat. So
We didn't put one on him. We should have. That's what we should have done.
a galaxy on the belt of Orion.
Orion's
Yeah.
belt.
Yeah.
What's your one big prediction for artificial intelligence? It's a big question, but if you had to synthesize it in one sentence, what would it be?
I think it would continue to increment its way into our lives as it has been for the past 60 years, on a level where we will find other things to do with our brain and body, letting AI do everything else. AI, we don't call it that, but that's what it is. AI finds the shortest route to grandma's house in traffic on the holidays. No human intervention at all. Turn left here. 3 minutes later, nope, turn right instead of left because the traffic just changed 10 minutes ago.
One last one then. What is one thing that people should be talking about as it relates to AI and
I don't
astrophysics
tell
that
people what to think or do. I'm not that guy. I don't say, you should be thinking this, or you do that. No, I don't do that. It's a free country. Think whatever you want. What I will say, which is a continuous trend in the technological era, is when you're in school, don't think about school as a place where you learn about a subject that might be obsolete 5, 10 years later. Go to school with the objective not to learn about a subject, but to learn how to think.
Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us in this wonderful setting.
That's a double mic drop right there.
Isn't that amazing?
Mind-blowing. Actually, we covered everything from artificial intelligence to the cosmos.
We did, and I've been a space obsessive since I was like a tiny little kid. I even did an art to celebrate my love of space. Would you like to see?
Let's see it.
Okay, be kind.
Nate, that's really sweet.
Isn't it?
How old are you? 4 or 5?
37?